Have you ever wanted to be an octopus?
Always, Ben.
Then I've got a game for you. Play as Darwin, an octopus trying to rescue his friend who has been abducted by aliens, as a small piece in their plot to destroy humanity. From ZDT Studio and Konami, Darwin's Paradox is a puzzle platformer with a lot of heart. Ruin factories, avoid eels, spray ink. It's got everything you could ever want.
And wiggle your tentacles, Ben.
Wiggle those tentacles.
Darwin's Paradox.
Yeah.
Man, we were talking about it for a while. It, of course, we talked about some excitement for it. A wacky octopus game. Ben, right off the bat, very colorful game, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's very fun looking, and I don't know, it's just a real joy in a way.
It was a wacky time. But really quickly, before we dive into how wacky that was, just some quick housekeeping. Welcome to our Chumpany review. We have many more of these coming up very soon. The 2026 list of games dropping is insane. So keep an eye out for all of those. Also, we have our podcast In Good Chumpany out on YouTube and Spotify. Keep your eye out for that. And as well as that, we also stream fairly regularly on Twitch and YouTube. So if any of that tickles your interest, check those out. But without further ado, Ben, you want to kick us off in the in our review?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, you play as a little octopus. You're going through various environments, not really combating aliens, but avoiding them more so. Fun little stealth mechanics here and there.
A little bit of gotta go foil the bad guys, you know?
Yeah.
Foil their plans.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've played a puzzle platformer, and
it's feels like it's been forever for me.
Yeah. I don't know if Donkey Kong Bonanza counts as one. I didn't play enough of it really to say, but
I don't know. The smash mechanic of that game made it feel a little bit of its kind of own special category.
Mm-hmm.
So this felt like a breath of nostalgia in a lot of really cool ways.
Yeah, and also I kind of appreciated that it's not a collectathon. I do love those kinds of games, but no, it's just a straightforward puzzle platformer. And I thought the puzzles were great. How about you?
Yeah, let's talk about these puzzles for a second.
Yeah.
Because I have kind of two sides of a coin to chat with you here.
Okay.
So the puzzles within the game are not entirely like too difficult. They are made fairly streamlined, and there's really only so many things that you playing as Darwin can even manipulate within the world. However, there are quite a few puzzles that get really intriguing, and you have to kind of sit there and think, or you have to look around closer because there are little details that you're missing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that, there are also a lot of moments in the game, Ben, and I don't know if you had this, but where I felt like there were actually not really any clear signs for some things, and you just kind of hit a brick wall at some points trying to find where to go or what to do. And those moments were a little frustrating.
Okay.
Some of it came down to I played this game on Switch 2. You played it on your PC.
Yep.
I played it mostly in handheld. I did play a decent bit on the dock, however, a lot of my time ended up being spent on handheld. So maybe, brightness and, the scale of screen is going to factor into some of what I have to say here.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, keep that in mind. But there were definitely moments of kind of, I was looking around in some puzzles and being like, I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, I don't think I encountered that. There's one example I can think of that I had to brute force my way through a puzzle.
Okay, that's intriguing. So thinking about that either means I'm really horrendous at puzzle games, or the visual clarity, I did have some moments that I can pinpoint within the game that I was struggling a bit to have
Hmm.
the visual clarity that I knew you were having on the computer just from footage that I've seen, differentiating the Switch and the computer and PlayStation and Xbox side of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm trying to think if there were other examples that are coming to mind, though, where, like, I'm trying really hard to remember, like, if there was anything I was stuck on. I don't think there was. Like, I won't really spoil it, but the only one that really got to me was when you're getting the electrician suit.
Okay.
That one I had.
Yeah, that.
And I feel like I brute forced my way through it, but I feel like I missed something somewhere because everything else worked out for me.
I 100% missed something there. There was no way around that. And speaking of missing things, I think this is a perfect time for us to chat about the collectibles within the game.
Yeah.
Because mixed into these puzzles, you have throughout the little hidden collectibles. And, of course, there's only, I think it was like 20 collectibles in the game entirely. And with that, like, it feels like there's enough to keep you kind of going around and finding these things if you so choose, and some of them unlock new outfits. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, because I remember unlocking a different skin for Darwin. Now, I think they kind of struck a perfect balance, because with the length of the game, with kind of how the layout and the acts go, there's just enough collectibles to be like, man, I wonder if I should look around here for a second and try to see if there's something here, while also not keeping you sitting there for a ridiculous amount of time, like searching throughout every nook and cranny of the game.
Yeah, like I said, it's not a collectathon. Yeah, no, I thought it was a solid playtime. I didn't care too much about the collectibles, but I could definitely see someone getting pulled in by that and wanting to do all of it. But it was fun. It wasn't anything too crazy to get them. It's always just alternate path stuff, going somewhere you wouldn't have.
Yeah, and it's like just fun additional story content. Well, kind of. Some story content, some just fun things.
Yeah, a little bit of lore here and there.
Yeah, and of course, the lore is explored in some different ways within this game. There is no dialogue, so you kind of have to go off of, there's a couple lines in like kind of commercial-esque things, but for the most part, it is a lot of story told in scenery and in kind of facial expressions, especially with Darwin.
Yeah, a lot of physical storytelling.
Yeah, and I think they did a really good job portraying that within this. And I think that moving forward from kind of collectibles and kind of jumping into story of the game, I think that there's enough here to keep you intrigued and keep you kind of wondering, and it is meant to be wacky. However, I think that there are some moments, at least in my opinion, that it kind of falls flat and doesn't give enough to really get a good grip on what's happening in this universe and to feel the way that I feel like they wanted you to feel at the end of it. Unless they wanted, exactly what happened. And in that case, my bad. But
yeah, I liked the ending. It's a nice little setup for future things. But yeah, I didn't mind the lack of story so much. It's more just a cute little experience. Definitely not a long game. I don't even know if it's replayable, but I don't know, I was just smiling a lot while playing it, so it kind of made it worth it.
It was fun, it was wacky, and I also agree with you. I don't know how much replayability it really has, and that's, of course, a hit or miss thing for some people. I can't fault anybody for not wanting to dive into something if they don't have that replayability, but also I can also appreciate a really good moment where I get a game that is just like, I'm going to think back on the experience I had the first time I played it, and it's just a great memory.
Yeah,
And, that's worth it.
I agree. So you were playing on Switch, so I wanted to bring this up. More of a question than bringing up, I guess. How was performance?
All right, Ben. I gave you one slight hint about halfway through my playthrough,
Yeah, and I want to know what that
and
meant.
all I texted in all caps was frames. Ben,
Yeah.
I had a lot of hope going into this game with the Switch 2 version of the game. Especially coming off of what I've experienced of the Switch 2 now with, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Pokopia mainly. Pokopia has blown me away with Switch performance. I genuinely am like seeing the true power of the Switch 2 right now with playing Pokopia.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into the game expecting, some frame drops. So that's going to be normal. It's going to happen. I got way more frame problems than I ever expected.
Really?
Right off the rip. The intro area, I was already lagging a bit in handheld.
Mm.
And that paired with, of course, it's already lower res and lower frames, to begin with, and now you're kind of getting really choppy with it.
Mm-hmm.
It made it a little hard in some spots to even kind of just enjoy what I was experiencing. However, it did level out after a little bit.
Okay.
I did notice a patch go out pretty quick as well.
Oh,
And
okay.
that stabilized it slightly. However, later on in the game is when frames get bad to worse.
Yeah, I played on PC, and I was having some real frame issues towards the end.
Yeah, the end, I felt like I probably missed like a good 10 to 15 second segments of game in between each stutter.
Oh, jeez. Okay, that's way worse than me.
It was really intense at some moments when it was not to get into crazy detail, but lasers everywhere and explosions everywhere and things falling and stuff like that. It became really interesting to navigate that.
Yep.
However, in docked mode, it also got a little bit of a leg up too. I will give it that.
Okay.
It did still experience some frame issues.
Overall,
I'm really disappointed with the optimization of this game on Switch.
Fair.
And it seems like optimization on computer might have been a little interesting, maybe?
Yeah.
Judging off of what you said?
Yeah, it wasn't awful. There were just moments where it got real stuttery. But it didn't really have a detriment on my playthrough. Yeah, sure, it was a little frustrating, but it wasn't for extended periods of time. It was mostly when entering into a new area or something like that.
Yeah, so pretty general kind of.
Yeah, general frame drops. Yeah, so it wasn't perfect by any means, but it was still good in my opinion.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I hope that the problems on Switch 2 get fixed soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there was a patch, so I know that it was being worked on. So I hope that it continues to get that support that it needs. With that, I'm gonna dive into my next big thing that I wanted to talk about with you, Ben.
Do it.
The movement and gameplay feel of the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
This is another area that I kind of had a bit of a two sides of the coin.
Okay.
Because on one hand, the exploration is phenomenal, swimming around and and crawling your way through these areas and attaching to different intriguing surfaces.
Yep.
But I'm just gonna say right here, right now, the controls of the game, more than half the time, felt like it was fighting against everything I was trying to do.
Interesting.
I don't know if you had that problem.
I did not. So with the character Darwin, just to explain for people listening, you can climb up walls and stuff with his little tentacles. The only time I really had issues with controls in that sense was if you had to like crawl out onto a lip on the wall that came off the wall and then up. You could get like stuck there for a couple seconds trying to just get over that.
That was the nicest of what I experienced, I would say, for kind of what I was intending on highlighting for movement.
Okay.
I think my big problem, and I tested a couple different things to make sure that it wasn't just my Joy-Cons that were being crappy.
Okay.
I tried my Switch 1 Joy-Cons, my Switch 2 Joy-Cons, my Pro Controller. So I went all around.
You ran the gamut.
Sure. Everywhere I went, anytime I went into a directional movement and say, like, I'm trying to go to the right, it felt like the game would get to a point where I would stop inputting or start to let up, not like fully stop.
Yeah.
But the game would just act as if I'm full blowing it for like a good 5 seconds additionally.
Really?
Not probably. I mean, not like. It was probably closer to like 2 seconds, but in like intense moments, it felt like way longer. It felt like I just lost control of my movement completely.
Huh.
And especially the dash was a big one for me. The dash I was having a lot of trouble with, because it would basically completely lock me in, and I had no directional movement at all. So I couldn't even maneuver myself as well when I was in mid-dash, which I know there are supposed to be moments, like especially later in the game, where you're dashing constantly and you're trying to duck into areas.
Yeah.
And so when I felt like the controls were pushing back against me, it made that a lot harder, and it made me die about 8,000 times more than I probably should have.
Yeah.
Which also led to a lot of frustration.
Understandable. Yeah, I did not experience that. Maybe my brain is complete mush and I didn't pick up on it, but I didn't have any issue like that in the game. So that's interesting.
That is really interesting, and I'm curious to hear what other people have to say. I've avoided kind of anything anybody's had to say until we got to kind of chat about what we experienced. So I'm curious to see what other people have had as their experience with movement controls and other gripes that I've had, because you never know, it could just be me and kind of my unlucky Switch experience, and it could be something bigger with optimization and stuff like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it definitely impacted my experience, and honestly, for me overall, dude, it kind of made it a mid experience for me.
Yeah. No, and I think that's fair. I didn't think this was like the best game ever. I had fun with it. I thought it was cute. I love a good puzzle platformer. But I mean, it's not anywhere near a top 20 list or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still, I still think it's a good game. Not a great game, but I still think it's a good game. But also, if I had the issues that you had with controls, like you were just saying, it probably wouldn't even be that for me.
I think where I sit at it is it's an okay game. I feel like with the movement feeling as combative against the player as it did for me, and the consistent just relentless frame issues, paired into, I'll just highlight briefly, but it's not that big of a deal. However, you mix already the low resolution of the Switch 2 into the frame problems,
Yep.
and it just becomes a blurry, incomprehensible mess. And then, but then you get these highlights of really wacky, silly stuff and some really, truly fun moments. So there were moments where it came back for me and it pulled me back in, but there were more times than I'd like to admit where I was like, I don't know if I want to keep on doing this right now. I might just wait a couple hours and kind of reset.
Yeah.
But I would say it's still worth experiencing for anybody. However, I might recommend just waiting for a sale if it happens.
Likewise. I will say also something I didn't bring up. It did weirdly look blurry on PC as well.
Oh, that's intriguing.
But
okay, hang on. So we're gonna need to sit here and talk about that for a second, Ben.
Well, at first I thought, because like they're doing that whole like retro futuristic 1950s vibe at the beginning.
So I was kind of feeling like CRTV type feeling at first.
I was wondering if it was like supposed to be like a CRT filter or like a film grain thing, but there was no setting to turn it off anywhere. And I kind of just put it out of my mind until you just said something about the low resolution. So it was blurry for me too.
That's intriguing. I wonder if that's just maybe one of those video settings that they just did not have settings enabled for.
Yeah.
Or maybe it truly was a problem that was happening somewhere in development or something. We don't really have any way of knowing for sure, but that's interesting because that was part of my issue with being able to actually figure out where to go, what to do. My visual clarity, especially on the smaller screen of the Switch 2. No, it's not bad small. It's significantly smaller than if I'm sitting at a monitor or the TV. So
yeah, and I don't know why I didn't think of that before. I think it was kind of a first time playing. I was like, why is this blurry? Going through settings, trying to figure out why. And I was like, oh, it's supposed to be like that.
That was a persistent thing on my mind when I was playing.
Yeah, I just put it out of my mind after that, but. So yeah, I do understand that. Yeah, no, I mean, it's not the end-all, be-all. It's just I thought it was a good little puzzle platformer. There's a solid snake skin.
There is a solid snake skin.
So,
I'm going to be honest. That was the only skin I used once I unlocked it.
Oh, I did not use it. I did it in the base skin just for capturing footage for this video.
The minute I got it, I didn't know what it was at first, and then I looked at it and I was like, "Ain't no way!"
Oh yeah,
and I never touched it again.
Yeah, treading on. Nope, I'm not gonna do that. Konami, we love you. Give us review codes for your future games, please.
We love you. We love you, viewers, listeners.
Treading on the corpse of Metal Gear Solid.
And with that, thank you guys so much for tuning into our review of Darwin's Paradox. Ben, it was an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
This was a cool, crazy turn of events for you and I for this game. I think this is the fastest I've ever tried to blitz playing a game in my life.
A 5-hour game.
And yet it still proceeded to take me a week to finish.
Oh, that's dadhood.
Dadhood. But you know what? Here's to you, man. Thank you for being my partner in crime through all of this.
Likewise, boss.
And thank you everybody for tuning in once again, and we will see you all in the next review and whatever other content tickles your fancy.
Appreciate it, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.